Hi there YouTube family. In this video we're going to discuss a secret decompression technique for a herniated disc with nerve compression, otherwise known as an L5-S1 disc compression, an L4-L5 is disc compression, or maybe even an L3-L4 disc compression. I'm going to get going right now. Hi, my name's Dr. Craig Hindson. I'm your chiropractor in Ottawa, and on this channel we discuss migraines, headaches, upper and lower spine nerve compression issues, and today we're discussing a secret decompression technique for a herniated disc with nerve compression. Basically how this has come about, I've just finished running with the dog. There's a friend of mine that's contacted me. He's got a lot of pain. It's been going on for a couple of years. He's been trying to get it sorted out. It's the lower section of his disc, so we're suspecting L5-S1, L4, L5. He's actually a chiropractor, and in the past he's done a lot of sports and been bashed around pretty badly in that area, and it's coming to a head now. So I've just got home. I wanted to record this. I've been sending him thoughts, but I thought I'd just put this together so that he's got some support as far as this method that I use in my office with my patients, and I've never heard of it being used anywhere else before. I basically developed it myself when I had some sports injuries when I was much younger, and I found it really helped. But together with chiropractic care, this secret decompression technique really is a major game changer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the spine, I'm going to talk about the technique, we're going to get right into it, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it. Now remember, this is only for entertainment and education purposes. Whilst I am a health provider, I'm definitely not your health provider unless you're already at my office. So this is purely for education, and you need to refer to your chiropractor or your health provider before you get stuck into these sorts of activities. Okay, so first of all I'm going to talk about contraindications. In other words, when not to use this technique. And I would suggest that not being under chiropractic care is a contraindication, because if you have a chiropractor to monitor your progress, then that's a major advantage. Another contraindication is if you have shoulder injuries or arm injuries. If you're not able to hold your body weight, then this isn't going to work for you. Okay, so you need to find another technique, and indeed down in the description I'm going to show you a no body weight technique for starting to decompress L5-S1. It is super useful. I don't believe it's quite as useful as this one if you can tolerate carrying the weight. The other things that are contraindications are brittle bones, or if you have osteoporosis, that's another one. And the other thing is a contraindication is excessive weight. These bars have a certain rating. I think this one is 250 pounds. So I'm going to show you what I do with my bars to make them stronger, but obviously the manufacturer's rating is never going to change. So if you're heavier than that, you need to find something that's going to work for you. Okay, so now we've talked a little bit about some contraindications. There may be others, and if indeed you're the sort of person you know that this isn't going to work for you, then put down in the comments what is the main limiting factor for you. And then when I do in a later video, which is going to be a little bit more sophisticated, a little bit slicker, then I'll make sure I incorporate those ideas. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the bar. Okay, now this bar I just picked up at Canadian Tire, which is a big store all over Canada. You may have a similar sort of sports store in England. They've got Sports Direct. Down in the US there's all sorts of big sports stores as well. But I picked this up for about 25 Canadian bucks, so that's about, well, it's about 15 pounds or 20 US dollars. Okay, now with all of the bars I've ever used privately, okay, this one's obviously I use in my office. There's a cup either side. The cup screws into the frame, so you need to make sure you've got a solid door frame. You can see that these were made over 100 years ago, so I've got solid door frames. Yours might be a modern door frame, and it might be fairly flimsy, mostly for decoration rather than for support, so you need to be aware of that. You can also get one that fits over the frame, over the door frame, so you don't actually have to put any screws into the side. That may be more suitable for you, and when you put your body weight on, it kind of jams in position, but you need to check that out for yourself. Now with this, what I do with my bars is it winds out, and as it winds out, it presses against the door frame. So I always get a little punch at this spot here, put a little dink in there, get my drill through, and then put a screw in. The screw's designed, you pick them up at any of the hardware stores, it's designed to screw into metal, so it makes its own thread as it goes in. So what that means is once I've put this in, I wind it out, it's nice and tight, I put the screw in, that's not going to unwind, because when you hang there is a degree of motion and you're kind of pulling on the bars and it unravels. So I find that's really handy. Okay, so that's the bars. I'm going to talk about two more items of equipment. First, really important, especially if you've got a very hot back. Hot back's a term in chiropractic we use. It just means that you're in a lot of pain constantly. So any movement causes it to light up. So you want to start with a step. Now the other contraindication really is that you aren't lit up when you're coming to do this. So you've got to be at a fairly stable position. Maybe a position where you're not in a lot of pain. Usually for my practice members, when they've been under care, usually about 4 weeks, I'll get them doing this. Now the ones that I do this with, I take imaging. So in the x-ray, when I look at L5-S1, it looks very compressed, okay? So I know it's been there for a long time. And usually L5, L4, or L4, L5, the disc above, that's also showing signs of subluxation. It's been out of balance for a long time. I don't tend to use it straight away. Occasionally I do trial it, just when people are in a lot of trouble. One of the reasons I want to make this video as well is there may be people that don't have chiropractors close to them, that don't have decompression tables, which is a table that chiropractors use. It's a whole technique that they use to do this in more of a controlled environment. If you don't have that, or if you may be even a third world country, then I trust that this is of some use to you. Now, just of note, for people in foreign countries, this will be translated into 10 languages. I'm not doing it initially because I've got a bunch of stuff to do, but in the updated video, and any videos I refer to, I'm going to put their links down in the description. So just click below the title, or indeed click on the title, and that's going to help you. Okay, so this box that we use the box because initially you don't want to be hanging your whole body weight onto the lower part of the spine. The whole idea of this is that this is L5, this is the sacrum, or S1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now if that disc is compressed, squished down on, it's filled with fluid and it can bulge out. As it bulges out, it can hit either the central cord within, so if it bulges backwards, it hits the central cord. If it bulges to the left, it hits one of the lateral nerve bundles as they come out of the spine. And if it comes out to the right, obviously same sort of thing. A lot of people at this stage, when it's really chronic, it's been going on for a long time, this has been compressed and it's actually bulged out all directions. So people have got shooting pains down their legs and all sorts, okay? So what we're doing is we're basically hanging, we're using the weight of the legs and the lower body, because day to day as we walk around, we've got compression on those discs, okay, day to day. But what we're doing here is we're actually lifting the legs off the ground and using the weight of the legs and the hips just to gently decompress there. So initially, we're not going to put the full weight of the legs. So let's face it, that's half your body weight. That's like 8 stone that you're kind of suddenly tractioning the 8 stones about, sorry, there's about, it's about 120 pounds. So what we do initially is rather than putting the whole weight on, we're just going to bend our legs just really gently, and obviously we just got to feel, how does it feel for us? You know, especially if that whole area has been lifted up for a while. If we just concentrate and put our conscience towards that L5-S1 joint, and we're just lifting our legs just very gently, allowing the weight to come onto that, the lower part of that, the sacrum really. So the weight of the legs through the sacrum are pulling down that joint, the L5-S1 joint. Now for me, I don't have lower back pain, so it looks like it's pretty easy to do. But if you're all lit up, then you know this is going to be causing you problems. The other thing that you can do is ice up the area very heavily. Use ice. I wouldn't suggest an ice pack, and I wouldn't suggest a bag of peas. You get ice, you put it in a Ziploc bag or in some sort of bag. If best, you can blend it up so that it actually molds to the area. So not like highly blended, but you know, just chopped up in a blender, so that when you mold it to your lower spine, it just chills that whole area. What that does is that disrupts the pain signals. It doesn't solve the problem, but it gives you time to start to do some things. So obviously, again, in discussion with your chiropractor whether this is right for you. Okay, so we're just hanging there. Now, when you get to the stage that you can hang pretty comfortably for a few seconds, what I like to do is just do like a little bounce, and you can actually start to feel those lower spinal segments start to decompress, and you actually feel them literally start to clunk. They're like a clunk, clunk, clunk. So that's like I did this a little earlier. I felt S1, L5 start to just open up gently, and L4, L5. And then the more you do it, the more comfortable it gets, the easier it gets. Now, again, there can be a contraindication. If you're doing this and it's making things more painful, then this is not the exercise for you. Once you find that you can hang quite reasonably comfortable, then what you're going to do, you can do a little bounce, and that kind of assists, the little bounce assists with that decompression starting. The other thing you can do, bend your body to the right, bend your body to the left, and just do a little shake. Really, really important. Do not rotate. No rotation, because discs hate to be rotated, especially when they're damaged, but even when they're healthy, there's a lot of stress goes onto a disc when it's rotated and compressed. In this case, we're extending it, but just don't do that rotation motion. So we want just a gentle bounce up and down, a little bit to the side, side to side, just to help those joints, because you've got the big joints, the disc joints, but you've also got facet joints at the back. We want those just to open up and just relax. So how long to do it for? Obviously, initially just do it to toleration. So if you can only do it for 1 or 2 seconds, that's it. You want to aim to get up to about 10 seconds, so you can do 10 seconds comfortably. Obviously, it's going to depend on the strength in your wrists. Okay, so 10 seconds is pretty cool. A lot of people do 30 seconds if they're athletic or relatively fit. Other thing you can do is you can buy these in weightlifting stores, or you can actually make them. They're just canvas straps, and weightlifters use them. They got a little loop there at the top. They're wrist straps. Okay, now you can use them in different ways. How I use them here, you kind of put them through your wrist like that. I'm just going to use the step because it gives you a little bit more purchase there to get. Gives you. Obviously, height is going to make a difference as well. So if you're short, you're going to need a bigger box so that when you're bending your knees, you're not lifting off your weight completely off the box. Okay, so the way these work is, there's different ways, but basically you wrap them around the bar and then you put your hand on top of the strap. So what that means is as you put weight on through your arms, through your hand onto the strap, the more you hang, actually the more you jam down on the wrist strap, and the more secure it is, so the less it's going to come off. Okay, and that's kind of how it works. And now when you've got a wrist strap on, you can actually stay here for quite a while, so just be careful of this. You know, the first time you just want to, if you're doing it 10 seconds without one, then you probably only want to use it for 15 seconds or 20 seconds, because you don't want to, just because it's comfortable in your arms now, you don't want to damage your spine by doing a little bit too much using them. But they're really handy if you have weak hands, okay? You can make those, or you can buy those in most stores. Okay, now I'd love to hear how you get on with these, okay? So just pop a comment down below. If you've liked it, hit that like. If you don't like it, hit the dislike, all right? I don't care. I just want to get some feedback from you. If you like this sort of material, I put exercises all the time on this channel, so just go and subscribe and share it with some friends and family. And if you are in the Ottawa area, I have a special gift for you. So if you go down below, you've got an invitation to tea. Come and see me in the office. We'll have a 15-minute free consultation to see how I can help. it'd be awesome to meet you. Just go down below, click on the link, and we'll get that sorted out for you. And if you have any questions or comments, just fire them down below. When I circle around later to make a new and improved video, I'll take on board some of your comments. Thanks very much. Dr. Craig, out.